if I forget to record. Okay, for those watching.
Hey, quick question.
Sure.
Well, not question, but I think Ashley was raising her hand to get a hold of you. I just wanted to let you know. I don't know if you saw that or not.
No, I didn't. What was your question?
Thank you. So you were saying that it might be better to break it into two. With that, if you were to break it into two, so 10 questions, would we get 10 questions Monday that are due Wednesday, and then Wednesday we would get 10 questions that are due, or would they both be due by the end of Sunday?
They both be due at the end of Sunday. It was just if they are sort of portioned out according to the lectures, or rather portioned out according to the week, because we have. Okay, so I've been talking for a while, almost an hour, but forgot to hit record on. So if you are new to this, watching the video, then we've just been going over the syllabus and the website and all of these procedural things. So let me restart then. So here's our website, welcome to it. And once I unfold week one, there's a place to get help with homework. There's a attractively formatted to-do list, which needs homework links. They're not there yet. And then there's these other things. So what are these other things? There's the class archives. This will go to our Jamboard, where we have the whiteboard. We will have a Zoom recording. If you look at the Zoom recordings, they have a automated transcription, which you can actually search. So if I'm talking about percent change and you want to know where in the lecture that was, you can search percent change and it jumps right there. So that's kind of handy. Some people prefer YouTube because then they can just subscribe to the channel and get all the things. So I will format it both ways. Also, mostly for my use, I have copies of Paula's notes from last term. Paula taught this class in fall and I sort of spied on her. So you probably won't benefit much from those links, but I wanted to keep them there. Then we have our activity. This activity was step 3 of the weekly to-do list. So it gives you some problems to do. And in the references, there's an answer key. So you can open that up and say, oh, here's the answers to the activity. So it's just it complements your textbook. If your textbook doesn't have enough example problems to make you happy, then here's other things you can do and check your work. The references will have other things that we will use during class or on homework, like this week, it's the census data. Each week also has lots of videos. You can click on the YouTube icon and see a video. These aren't videos I have found. These are videos that Jessica, the course lead for 105, put together. And they tend to be from 2 sources. The author of the textbook has done a bunch, and then there's a different website she likes that has a bunch. And the last part of the week are the achievements. And the achievements are optional, but they help you get better grades and they help lower the requirements for what is needed with the homeworks and tests and discussion forums and things like that. Don't go farther yet. If you look at week 2, then I haven't arranged things as well as I want. It's still using Paula's grading scheme rather than mine. She had Moodle quizzes rather than just end of the day on Wednesday quizzes. She had homework that you just got 1 attempt rather than using the codes to quickly get lots of attempts and so on.
Can I ask a question about the achievement?
Sure. Always, you can always ask questions.
Thank you. There are some that are like, I'm wondering how we verify them. Like, for example, teach a friend about one of our topics.
You tell me you've done that and then I'll look it up.
Cool.
So, none of them are such a big deal that I care if you are lying to me or not. Hopefully you won't. There's so many of them, you will have plenty to do that are good learning opportunities that why would you lie to me? But I have no way of knowing. Yes, in chat, homework will be due Sunday at the end of the week. Some of us have terrible schedules and have to do homework on weekends.
Hey, David, can I make a pitch for TRIO?
Sure.
So I'm part of TRIO at the UO. I'm dual enrolled, and I'm a first generation Bachelor of Science recipient. And it's really a great program. And the people there are amazing. They help you fill out your FAFSA if you need. There are scholarships available. Lots of non-traditional students are in the trio. And so if you plan on going to UO or staying at Lane, it's just a really, really excellent group. So it's sometimes with all of this technology and just dealing with college in general, it can be really helpful to have other people that are there for you. And they love helping people. They're all just really great. So that's and they've reached out to me. I didn't even know it existed. And I got this excellent email letting me know that, hey, we're here, we're helpful. Let us know what you need. So just wanted to let everyone know.
Good, thank you.
Yeah.
I will say this, that socially, the word privilege is pretty complicated. At LCC, it's really not so complicated compared to real life. If you have privilege, then you will hear people say, but these people always had a choice, because privileged people tend to think people always have a choice. Let me make this even bigger since it's important. So can't you just choose to shrug off negative messages? Can't you just choose to spend time with a healthier group of friends? Can't you just study more? Can't you just choose to avoid alcohol? And that's not true, right? The negative messages will eventually penetrate. There might not be a good crowd to hang out with in that place. Maybe you can't do homework because you're worrying too much about how to afford food tomorrow. Maybe drinking is just what everyone in that place does. But people who are privileged, they often don't have the choice to fail. Of course, someone is there to encourage you so negative messages don't sink in. Someone is there to steer you away from your unhealthy friends. Someone was there to kick you in the behind and make you do your homework. Someone was there to keep your drinking from getting out of hand, or so on. So what privilege really is at LCC is where you don't have the option to fall between the cracks. Someone will have your back. And Trio is, as I said before, and Marjorie emphasized, they are amazing at that. They keep people from falling behind the cracks. So there are places in society where privilege is seen as a bad thing, and some kinds of privilege might be. But the important one at LCC is that someone has your back. You can't slide through the cracks because someone will notice and say, hey, that's not going to work. Maybe your advisor gave you wrong advice. Maybe you need to spend more time on homework, whatever. They will keep you going. Okay, I think I'm ready to actually start doing math and stop talking about syllabuses, right? It's almost 3. Other questions about how the class goes? Let me go back to that weekly thing because that's kind of your thing. So we have
Sorry.
Zoom. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just still confused at how we submit the homework.
How you submit the homework.
Yes, for the end of the week. Like, am I emailing you questions and my answers, or
you're emailing me that little code it makes.
But
so.
Okay, but how do I get to that? Sorry.
You will get to that with a. Where's my week 1? I was just there. Go down, down, down. I'm going to put some. That's week 2, week 1. I'm going to put links right here. They just aren't there yet.
Perfect. Thank you.
So everything should be in this brown box or in the things that unfold below it. But we'll have Zoom sessions. You have a textbook with lots of example problems. You have an activity whose answer key is all below. You can practice with stuff. We'll have a forum to talk about math later on. Paula's worksheet may or may not be helpful. And then you'll have some homework to do.
And then we just text you the link or email you the link, and that's how you know we've done it?
Yep, that's how you know I've done it. I am fancy when you send me a text, then it actually shows up in a window on my computer so I can type with a keyboard and not be awkward with thumbs. I'm just too old to have good thumbs, I guess. So you can text me things too if you hate email. But that's a good point. What I don't want you to do is try and send me things as messages in Moodle. Since I'm normally never using Moodle, then I think I've turned it off. I've done my best that you can't message me in Moodle privately if you wanted to. But if that didn't work, if it still is somehow that you can, I will probably not see it. So use email, use my text. Yes, Julie.
Let me see if I'm on. Oh yeah, okay. So for the activities, we're doing those and we're doing homework, correct?
Right. The activities you don't turn in because you
Okay.
have all the answers.
Yes. Okay. But and the activities correlate with the homework. I mean, that's kind of setting us up for the homework.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, always just unmute and shout, because I'm, especially once I start lecturing and not just talking about a syllabus, then I'm staring at my whiteboard. I'm not paying attention to all your Zoom faces. We're grown-ups, we can interrupt each other politely. Okay, so this, as you may recognize, was from that long email, but let's actually do some math. What I'm going to do, just to be brave, is, here is my Math 20 test. If you were in my Math 20 class, you would get this as a practice final. And you could see your answers because it's a practice final. And every time you reload the page, the numbers change, right? 168, 90, 36, and each time the answer key updates also. And if you were in Math 20, one of these would be your real final. I would just reload it until it gets numbers I like and then print it out and then, that's your final. I haven't written your final yet. That would be a little ambitious, but you will have something similar. There will be a web page with a bunch of problems. You will have a 105 practice final. You can load the page as many times as you want and it will give you practice problems. And then something exactly like it will be what your final really is. But for now, as starting the review math, then let's just look at this Math 20 final and pick problems that, if I was to give them to you right now, would not make you happy. Which ones should we do review about?
Question 7.
7. Anyone before 7? I sort of want to do them in order, but I realize.
The Wonder Snail was always my favorite.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's been a while, so all of them for me, except for maybe rounding up. So
I would be fine with starting with 1. Yeah.
Starting with 1. Okay, let's just do them all a bit. There are some that, if we wind up doing this several times, I will say, no, enough of that, because it's not really something that we need as a foundation for 105. But for now, okay, we can shape the right way. Scoot myself over a little. Okay, is this legible for everybody?
Yeah.
So as I mentioned before, you could click on the Jamboard link at the top of any of the pages and go to exactly where I am, and then fuss with the Jamboard because it's public for editing. But you can just watch me too. It all depends on what works best with your screen and your technology. So how many factors does 36 have? This is an interesting question. If I reload this test a bunch of times, sometimes it says find the prime factorization. And that one is actually easier. So let me grab that problem and put it on too. So prime factorization is something that for some reason your older math teachers probably thought was important, where you make a tree. Everyone remember factor trees at least a little bit? I would say, what are 2 factors of 21? And there's lots of choices. Maybe you pick 2 and 105. I'm going to pick 21 and 10. And then 21, I will break up into 3 times 7. And 10, I will break up into 2 times 5. And at the end of the tree, I will see what my leaves are. And so my answer is that 210 equals 2 times 3 times 5 times 7. And it's traditional to put them in order. And that's just so if I am working with Melanie and want to compare answers, we don't have to like rearrange things mentally. We can just say, yeah, 2, 3, 5, 7, that's the order we did them in. If there was a number that had several of these, you could put like 2 times 2 times 2, or maybe you had a little exponent there, but this problem doesn't have any exponents. Anyway, we actually don't care about this at all. There's nothing in 105 where we need this. How many factors is a different problem, because there are factors that don't show up in the factor tree. Let me do one example just to show you. If we had 36, and that was 3 times 12, and 12 is 2 times 6, and 6 is 2 times 3, then I could say 36 is, let me circle things again, just because sometimes I have brain farts. I have 2 2s and 2 3s. Oops. That ring a bell for everyone?
Where did you get the 2 2s?
There's one of them here and one of them there.
Where's the first one?
Can you scroll up a little bit?
Yeah, the bottom's cut off just a little bit.
Bottom is cut off. I can make my window a little taller. Is that better?
No, I can't see it still.
Can't see it. Then I just have to not write things on that part of the screen. Okay, one moment. Let me grab all of that. Undo everything. Paste it. Okay, is it better there?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Good to know. Is it covered by your Zoom bar? Is that the problem? Because you can always grab the Zoom bar and just pull it to the top of your screen too, if you wanted to peek what's under it.
Mm. Let me see. No, not for me.
Not for you. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I will avoid the very bottom. Anyway, so there are factors of 36 that aren't in this tree. Maybe not actually. 36 might be so nice. Yeah, so even 6 is there. But in general, just like for this one, 105 wasn't in the factor tree for 210, but it is a factor. Factor trees don't always tell you all of the factors. So we need a different game. So what we will do is list out all the counting numbers. Is 1 a factor? Sure, it's 1 times 36. Is 2 a factor? Sure, it's 2 times 18. Is 3 a factor? Sure, it's 3 times 12. Yeah, some of these weren't in the factor tree. I'm just brain dead because I'm thinking about lecturing. Is 4 a factor? 4 times 9. Is 5 a factor? No, we'll skip it. Is 6 a factor? Yes, it's 6 times 6. And 6, I might want to remind myself, I don't want to double count it. Once I get past 6, it's sort of like a horseshoe. I don't have to keep going. If 36 had any factors bigger than 6, they would have already shown up on the right-hand side. They would need something small to match with. So I'm done. So now I can just count them. How many factors does it have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 factors. And this is also a good way to wake up your brain, but we have no need for it in Math 105. And I think I just wrote too low on the screen once again, so I will higher. Okay, so far so good?
All good.
Okay, let's grab number 2. There. Okay, is my box there legible? Do I need to make it slightly bigger?
That's good.
Good, okay. So percent means out of 100. If I had a percent symbol, I'm not doing this problem, by the way. So let's just say I had 20%. That means 20 out of 100. We know 4 ways to do out of 100 in arithmetic. I could write out divided by 100. I could say, I'm scooting things 2 decimal point scoots to the left because that's the same as divided by 100. I could write it as a fraction with denominator 100. Or I could write it, oops, why do I have 21 there? That's not right. Or I could write it as times 1 over 100, which is another way to do the fraction. So whenever we're dealing with percents, we need to figure out which of these 4 ways to replace the percent symbol is the most convenient. It's not always the same one. In this case, I want to take the fraction 4/16 and write it as a percent. And I can say 4/16 is 4 divided by 16. I wouldn't normally write this out, but I am lecturing. So that becomes 0.25. I want to do kind of the opposite of one of these. Let me go back and see. Can I get, is it always percent format? Yes. So I'm going to skip ahead a moment before I answer number 2. If I wanted to write the percent symbol here as one of those 4 things, which would be the easiest one to pick? Should I pick a divided by 100, 2 decimal point scoots, fraction bar 100, or times 1 over 100?
1 over 100.
Now that looks really awkward. I don't like that.
I do the decimal point, maybe.
Yeah.
Move the decimal, yeah.
Yeah, 2 decimal points.
I am lazy. I don't like doing lots of arithmetic. If I can just scoot decimal points, I will. So notice what happened here. We took a percent symbol and we replaced it by something that meant the same thing. It meant out of 100, just like the percent symbol. And someone has feedback. Just me. Can you all hear a funny noise, or is it too quiet for you?
Yeah, it sounds like I'm getting some feedback or some kind of noise.
Yeah, tell me why. That was my computer.
Okay, it just went away from me. Is it okay for you?
Oh no.
Yeah, I went away.
Okay, well, whatever it was, maybe I fixed it or maybe it just went away. I can't take credit for things. So, okay, where were we? So we replaced one thing with another and they meant the same thing. And we have to do that. We can't just change a number because we want to. So now we're doing the opposite. We have at the top where we're actually working on our problem, a 0.25, and I want to put a percent symbol on it. But I can't just stick a percent symbol on a number that changes it. So I have to add the opposite of it. And as before, of these 4 options, the easiest one to do the opposite is 2 decimal point scoops. Okay, that was a little roundabout, but that's what I try and get for teaching Math 20 from a test. Questions on any of that we just did? The good news for Math 105 is of these 4 ways to replace the percent symbol, we will pretty much always want the decimal point scoot one. We have very little things we ever do with fractions that make the fraction ones a better choice. Okay, kilometers, I don't care about kilometers in 105. Price per ounce, that's a good one. Let me shrink it a little. Grab it. Okay, someone help me. What do I do in this problem?
I would start by dividing 1603 by 14 and 2330. I'm sorry?
How do you know to do that?
Because I shop. No, just because I want to figure out what it's going to cost per ounce. And then once I figure that out, then I know which ounce is less expensive.
Okay, enough of Marjorie. So, good job. Someone else. How does she know to divide?
Oh, sorry.
How does she know to divide? That's okay.
Well, you wanna find out how much per ounce. So you want to take the amount of the dollar amount and divide it into the ounces.
That's true, but you know to do that. So you be the teacher. Why are we dividing instead of something else?
Let's see.
And this is the right thing to do. I'm not arguing.
I'll let somebody else take that.
Okay.
You're trying to do it by single ounces. So you're dividing it by the by the 1603 divided by 14 to get into 1 single ounce equals this amount of price.
Mm-hmm. Something else I'm surprised people haven't pointed out, because usually it's quicker, is the word per. Per is a clue that we're dividing. And notice that both Marjorie and Melanie, when they rephrased it in their own words, put the word per in there. It's hard to talk about this without that word. So that's a clue. That's not a great philosophical answer, but that's your clue. But yes, as they're making equal piles. Imagine that the 14 ounces were actually 14 little 1 ounce containers for airplane flight travel. And so you're taking $16.03 in pennies because you're 4 years old, and you get home and you're trying to match up how many pennies go with each of those little 1 ounce bottles, right? We're making equal sized piles, and that's what division does. That's a terrible story. You wouldn't have your pennies after you bought it, but anyway. Okay, I don't know what this is off the top of my head, but I have a calculator. Oh, and it's after break. I have a dusty calculator. So 1.145. And I'm rounding, so I will divide. Brand B.
Squiggly equals, is that like approximate? Is that right?
Right, that tells you I'm rounding this step.
Okay, that comes rounding. Okay.
And in this problem, it doesn't ask me for these answers. It just wants to know which is the better buy.
Okay.
E? Oh, it would be A. Oh, I was looking at the wrong one. It would be A. Yeah.
Okay, now I'm going to confuse a bunch of you. Could we divide the 14 by 1603? Could we do 14 divided by 1603 instead?
No.
Yes. So let's imagine we're doing 2 kinds of shopping. Oh, and someone needs to mute because I'm hearing my echo. Make my participants open. Okay. There we go. Okay, so imagine that I have $16.03 and I'm shopping for gas. So I'll go to different gas stations and see how much gas I want for $16.03. I can get for that. Then that's what we did. And we're going to pick the biggest number. We're definitely going to spend our $16.03. We want to get as much stuff as possible for our expenditure. We could do a different kind of shopping. Let's imagine that I just want 1 ounce of coconut flakes for on top of a cake. I never eat coconut flakes. I'm not the kind of person that has them in their freezer normally. That's actually not true. I do, but we're pretending. So, but I just want to go to the bulk section of the store and buy 1 ounce of coconut flakes and spend as little as possible and then get out of there, right? Then if I did 14 divided by 1603, I would be saying how many ounces I get per dollar. And then I would want to pick the smaller number. I want to spend as little as possible there. So if that confuses you, ignore it. But maybe one of you was used to thinking the other way and now you feel validated because your way works too. But In one direction, you pick the biggest, the other, you pick the smallest. Okay, wonder snail. Paste. There we go. Okay, so a snail crawls 72 yards in 4.4 minutes. How many yards would it crawl in 73 minutes? There's a hint that you might not want to follow because you are smarter than a Math 20 student might be with your extra background. How would you do this problem?
So you would first try to find out how many yards per minute, and then you would times that. Wait a second, I'd have to write it down real quick.
Sure.
Isn't it something like how many yards are per foot? Mm.
If we divide 72 by 4.4, we get how many yards per minute. We then multiply that by 73 minutes, and we'll find out.
Great. Yes, thank you, Eli. So 72 yards in 4.4 minutes. We're again thinking with the word per, if that helps you know to divide. I don't know what that is. Let's use my calculator. 16.36. That bar over the top means it keeps repeating. Oops. Okay, everyone get the same answer I did?
Yes.
Okay, this is an important problem. I want to show you different ways to do this. So I also want to talk about unit analysis. Give myself more room. Unit analysis is a process where I'm going to pay attention to the words, the units that are following all my numbers. So I'm going to say that I have 72 yards per means divided. And now I'm thinking of divided as a fraction bar because fraction bars mean division every 4.4 minutes. If you're a math person, we call this a rate, how many yards you go every so many minutes. When I divided, which is a completely logical thing to do, then that is making a unit rate. We were saying on the blue side that that's going to be the same as 16.36 repeating every one, that many yards per 1 minute. But we don't need that step. We can get rid of all that. We can say, well, in 73 minutes, And I can't multiply a fraction by a whole number without it looking nice unless I put it over 1. So I'll put it over 1. I could have written this differently. Let's pretend I'm doing it wrong. If I tried to write it multiplying by, put the 73 on the bottom, then that's wrong for 2 reasons. First of all, 1 over 73 isn't a value in my problem. The whole number 73 is. 1/73 is a totally different number. Also, when I write it correctly, then my minutes on top and bottom will match. If you're doing fraction multiplication, if I have 2/4 times 2/7, you might say, oh, we can cancel these 2's. And it's exactly the same, except we're canceling the words instead of the numbers of multiplying fractions. So with the minutes gone, all that's left is yards. So if I multiply this, then I'm going to get whatever that is, 72 times 73, 5256. And the only word that's left is, oops, not the minutes, the yards on the top. The minutes are all gone. Then, how do I simplify fraction bars? Again, it's just top divided by bottom, because fraction bars are like division. And we'll get that same answer we did before. Depending on your math background, you probably like either the blue side or the green side better than the other one. Oh, if you're talking to me, Ashley, you're on mute.
Sorry. You don't care which one we use because I'm more of the green side. So
if you take Intro to Chemistry, what they call Intro to Chemistry is almost all a semester of unit analysis.
Mm-hmm.
Right? There's not much actual chemistry happening.
Yeah.
Okay, there's another way we can do this. I'm going to grab this again. We could also say, I have 2 situations. I wish I had more colors. Proportion. Did I say way or method before? Method, okay. We could also say we have a situation over here. And we have another situation over here. Our first situation was 72 yards per 4.4 minutes. Our second situation is I'm not sure how many yards, and I like using Y instead of X because it doesn't look like the time symbol, every 73 minutes. And I want these situations to be equivalent to each other. There is a potential problem right now in your brains that over here, I wrote 2 fractions next to each other. And over here, I'm writing 2 fractions somewhat friendly, like they're looking at each other from across the dance hall high school. These are completely different things. Here I am multiplying 2 fractions. That means I can cancel if I need to. They are on the same side of the equal sign because we're just sort of going forward. Here, these fractions are not being multiplied. This is a proportion where one fraction is equal to another fraction. I can't do any canceling or stuff. So don't let the fact that physically they look a little similar start the wrong engines in your brain. How do we proceed with proportions?
Cross multiply.
Cross multiply, yeah. I'll say here is one diagonal. Here's another diagonal. Oh, that one hit the Y. Okay, now we have superpowers. Does it matter which diagonal I write on the left or right side of the equal sign in the next line? No, if two things are equal, then of course I can put them on either side. They're equal, who cares which side they're on? I'm going to pick the blue diagonal because it has the letter in it. Within the blue diagonal, does it matter if I write y times 4.4 or 4.4 times y?
Do the number first and then the y.
If I write 2 times 5 and 5 times 2, are those always the same?
They're the same, but in the last class that I had, our teacher told us that the standard was to put the letter after the number.
Right. So all of that is true. When I multiply two things, it doesn't matter what order I do it in. As someone that has done this a gazillion times, it just looks better to me to always put the letter first. So I get to pick which diagonal. I will always pick the diagonal with the letter to be on the left side. And within that diagonal, I'll always put the letter first, so that no matter how I set up my proportion, whether the y is in this corner or that corner or that corner or that corner, I can always make it say y times something equals something. And that makes me happy. Okay, we're going on. And I can write a straight line. Okay. Oops. So what was 7.2, 72 times 73, 52, 56. So y, oh, and then since it's the first time, what do I do when I have y times something equals something else?
Add both sides by the 4.4 in this case.
Right, whatever is stuck onto the y with times, I peel it off with divided. And to be fair, I have to do it to the other side equal. And that was what? 1195. And it's a word problem, so I will label my answer. Okay, so now you've seen 3 ways to deal with Stalwart the Wonder Snail. And again, pick one that's good for you. You don't have to do it the way I do it. We will be doing this kind of thing in all different ways in 105. Some of these 3 methods have more application to what we will do in our future than others, but in general, realizing, let's take a unit rate. How much happens in 4.4 minutes, I don't care about. Let's think about what happens in 1 minute. That's more useful to me. That's a good way to think about things. The unit analysis, we're going to just multiply a bunch of rates together, cancel out the words we don't want. All we have left is yards. Ta-da, I'm done. Notice in unit analysis, as long as you cancel the right words, you don't have to decide when to multiply and when to divide. You multiply across the top, multiply across the bottom. When you get to single numbers, top divided by bottom, there's no choices. So this is easy on a test, I can't mess up. It sort of makes me do it the right way. And proportion methods, some people are just fiends and love cross multiplying. It makes them happy. You can cross multiply lots of times. When I teach Math 20, I have to not introduce cross multiplying until as far into the course as possible. Otherwise, there are some students that will just try everything with cross multiplying, even when that's not the right way to do a problem. Okay, we're running low on time. I will send you this link, and it's not required at all. You're not in Math 20 and it's not finals week. But if you want to do a little review, if that would make you feel better, then you will have this and you can do more of this sometime this week. Focus on anything with a percent, because our class deals with finances and describing data. Then we will use percents a lot more than fractions. And we really don't care about kilograms. So look at the percentage problems, and I will put that also in the email.
And you're sending this in our email?
Let me ask that actually. So when I went back to, no, not that window, here, that one. So here was my announcement of trying to send you something in Moodle. Is there anyone that will be distressed if I send an email rather than use the Moodle announcement forum? No, there's no one that's such a Moodle fiend that the announcement forum is where you go for things. Or your email inbox is such a messy pile, like a bird's nest, you can't find anything in it. No. Okay. Well, then I'm going to probably just get rid of the news and announcement forum and send you emails if that's what I am used to and you are happy with it. As a bit of advice, then, do you know how to make labels for Gmail? So if I don't want to see all these things, then I can say, let's take this message and create a filter for a message like these. Did I keep going, or is this old news to everybody?
It's new news to me.
That's keep going. Keep going. So I'm going to filter these,
Go ahead.
and I'm going to say it's going to be, no, I want it to have the words MTH105 W21. And I don't care about anything else besides that. And anything that gets sent from Moodle for our class will have that in the beginning of it, right? You can see that on my screen. So I'm going to create the filter. What do I do? I'm going to mark it as red. I'm going to put a label on it called Math 105 Winter 2020. And I'm never going to send it to spam. And I'm also going to do it to those. If you want, you could even skip your inbox. And I'm going to create the filter. And so now it should be true.
Wow, I organized things by class before, but those extra tips were helpful.
So now the filter is there. If I look at any of these emails, it has that. And that means down here in my list of categories, and I could make more of them. If it's hidden, look for more and drag it up. Then there. Now I'm only looking at the stuff for our class. And if in that create a filter you had done skip the inbox, that just means you need to be a diligent student and know it's skipping your inbox. So you need to click here on the tag that says what's happening in my math class. That might be a dangerous thing to do. Do you want me to start all of the emails I send you after class with the same little thing, the code that Moodle uses, MTH105 W21?
Sure.
Okay, so then your filter will pick that up also, whatever you do with filters. Okay, well, I'm just going to ditch the news announcement forum because if I can't put links in where I want, then what use is that? Right? Because this wasn't very friendly to me. Who wants footnotes in an email? Okay, we have 5 minutes. Anything else before we go?
How long after class is our homework going to be posted?
I don't know. I have to drive a kid to gym at 4. So hopefully by the end of dinner. What I will do is go through our Jamboard and find some similar problems to this. And probably put some syllabus questions on, since we spent half the class talking about the syllabus.
How long until our nicknames are up so we can access our stuff on the website?
Same thing. So send me an email with your code name if you haven't done a private to me in the Zoom chat. By the way, if you arrived late and haven't said anything in Zoom chat, say that and say, I am here for attendance, so I can search for the word here and find you.
I sent you a private in Zoom chat, so if you need an email, just send me an email again and I'll re-email it to you. I'll check later on.
Okay, now check later on, but it should be true that, let me get off this page, that by the end of tonight, when I am done processing things, then if you click in this, then I will have put everyone in. So it doesn't take long. I just have to not be in the car driving my kid to gym.
So we click on that when we do an assignment, or?
This is only a display to you of what's in my grade book. It's not how you turn anything in.
Okay.
Quick question. So when we go to Moodle, it usually updates our grades for the class. Will that not show up for your class? It will only show
Correct.
up in this platform?
It only shows up here. The Moodle gradebook is the weakest part of Moodle. Maybe they fixed it the past few years, but the last term I taught a few years ago trying to use Moodle, then it just eats grades and the instructors don't know what to do and it's terrible. Besides the fact you have to click.
If I may, David, I don't know if anybody else in this class has taken you before, but I've taken his class before, and using this website that he's showing us right now with our nicknames is a lot better than using Moodle. It was a lot easier. So like what you would do is you just leave it like a tab open with it in your browser. And then when you go and click your name, it'll show like all the achievements, but it'll also show you like the work that you're supposed to do too. That way you can access it easier than having to take through emails and stuff. Obviously we'll be using emails for forms, but this is, I like using this a lot more. That's why when I signed up for this class, I decided to take him as a teacher again. It's a lot easier.
What about the nickname? We have to have a nickname?
You don't have to have a nickname, but
okay.
Sometimes someone is, Catherine and wants to be Katie or whatever, and that's great.
Wait, so our code name can just be our name?
It could be, but everyone in the world, this is a public website. One reason that I make this not a Moodle site is so that when I do stuff with high school math clubs or local homeschoolers or so on, then they can go here and say, let's learn about food. Anyway.
So if we just sent you our code name through Zoom, is that okay? Or do you want us to also send it through email?
No, the Zoom is fine. I will go through a lengthy chat and try and find everything. If I miss it, apologies in advance.
And that'll be up when, the code names?
Tonight sometime.
Cool.
So it won't be very exciting because you haven't done anything yet. Now, when I say you haven't done anything yet, that might not be true. So let's real quick look at, since we have 1 minute, what are the achievements that I'm thinking you might get done? Asking a question during class. You might have that because some of you had questions. So if you asked a question, send me an email after class or put it in chat to me right now. Hey, remember I asked a question, so I can check that one off for you. Do a problem on the board during class. Again, you don't have the nice pen and tablet thing I do. Oops, let me, whoever needs muting. Okay, muting everyone else. So it might be a little messy to do a problem on the board with only a mouse to draw with, but you can. No one did it today, but maybe Wednesday. Participate in the study session. Well, we haven't had one yet, but before class Wednesday, we'll have one. So a bunch of you will get that. Watch a math video with a classmate and talk about it together. You can get that done whenever you want. If you want to be in touch with each other, then just put that in chat right now. Say, share with the class, my name is Bill and my email is this, or my name is Bill and my phone number is this. I don't know how you want to make yourselves public to each other, but whatever you tell me to share with people, I will. Otherwise, because of privacy, I'm not. Your LCC emails are actually not secret. I can send those out without your permission, but I won't. But if you want to be friendly with each other and say, someone contact me and watch a video, then let them know how to do that. Work with a classmate who asks for help. You'll often get that at your first study session, maybe some other time. Teach a friend about one of our math topics. You could have done that yesterday, for all I know. For one of the weekly activities, explain something during class. So
and then
look at one of these and prep yourself for Wednesday.
These achievements, are they extra credit or are they just for participation?
They are, if you read the syllabus part carefully, go to this chart. These are pretty strict requirements to get an A. That's kind of tough, but it gets easier with the achievements. So read how that works. It's up to you to balance how much you're just brilliant and can get good scores and how much you're going to do a lot of participation to make the requirements lower.
Yeah, the achievements help you get that plus.
Yes, you also need to do a bunch of them to get a plus at the end of your letter grade. Okay, anything else? I don't need to read through all of these, but you can too. Okay, here's your to-do list. I will get homework links soon. Thank you for being in class. Thank you for being friendly. Wave to each other. Show your faces for a moment. See you on Wednesday, either at 1:30 or 2.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great rest of your day, everyone.
Thank you.
You too. Have a great night.